Hello, everyone, and welcome to NUI's first ever virtual Ask Me Anything session. My name is Sarah Adams, and I'm NUI's Rising Professionals Chair. I'm honored today to be moderating this conversation with Dr. Tamika Jacques, and also to announce that this is only the first in a series of conversations with a number of incredible female leaders in the energy and environment field, as we'll be announcing the full AMA lineup very shortly. These events will occur regularly on the second Wednesday of the month, so if you're not already subscribed to our newsletter, definitely make sure that you head to our website and do that, and keep an eye on our calendar and social channels for future speaker announcements. Also, for those of you who are here today, I'll be announcing our next speaker at the end of the event, so make sure you stay tuned for that. I also wanted to extend a huge thank you to our annual event sponsors, Eversource, First Light, and Robinson & Cole, who not only make our in-person events possible, but support continued NUI programming in this new virtual space. We hope that today's event will be interactive and conversational. Attendees should feel free to ask Dr. Jacques questions using the Q&A function in Zoom, and I will read out the questions. You have the ability to ask questions anonymously, so just make sure that you do that if you don't want me to read your name. And please start thinking of your questions and sending them our way. And now I'm thrilled to introduce Dr. Tamika Jacques. Dr. Jacques is the Director of Workforce Development at MassCC, where she oversees their popular and award-winning internship program and has helmed workforce initiatives including the successful Women in Clean Energy program, the Learn and Earn program, Clean Energy Activity Day, and the annual Clean Energy Symposium for higher education students. Dr. Jacques was recognized as a rising star at the 7th Annual NUI Award Gala in 2017, and in 2019 she added author to her impressive resume with the release of A Brown Girl's Guide to Employment and Networking. Throughout her career, Dr. Jacques' commitment to improving the culture, attitudes, and potential of the clean energy workforce is clear. Her impact includes a vast spectrum of programming, from funding for hands-on early childhood energy activities, work readiness curriculum for high school students, and training and fellowship opportunities for low-income or unemployed women. So, Tamika, welcome, and thank you so much for joining us today.
Yeah, thank you so much.
I'd love to give you an opportunity to introduce yourself and expand on your work or share anything exciting that you have going on right now.
Sure. So thank you so much for everyone that is joining us today. I can see the names and it's great to see so many people that are on. Thank you to NUI for inviting me. I think NUI events are always great to attend and, always happy also to be a participant. So thank you to NUI and the board and everyone that works, so hard on all these programs. So thank you so much on behalf of, everyone that participates with NUI. Thank you so much for always putting on great events and webinars nowadays. Currently, as my bio said, just a lot of programming and training background that I have, and just always trying to make sure, especially in this industry, that women and minorities have, a career pathway to enter this sector, because it's a great sector. It can provide for your family. There's, a lot of people in this that we can network with, and always trying to, whenever the Massachusetts report comes out around clean energy, always trying to look to see, where are we? And so always creating programs around how we can get over. Right now, the benchmark is 30%, of the new hires in women, that are women in this industry. So just always trying to create programs that are innovative, yet are inclusive for all, no matter who you are.
Yeah. Amazing, and that's absolutely what we're about here at NUI too. So we're really excited to talk to you today, and definitely send us those questions. I'm going to kick us off with one right now. So you're definitely something of a networking expert. You published A Brown Girl's Guide to Employment and Networking last year. So I wanted to ask, do you have any advice for rising professionals or job seekers regarding how they can continue to grow their networks virtually in the situation that we're currently in?
Sure, yeah, of course. So I think, like you said, in this current situation, but, the great thing about it is that, we still do have, groups that we can join that we've, never heard of. So whether you go on LinkedIn and you are looking at different people in your industry that, are on your feed, or you're looking at different groups that, are not necessarily on your feed, and you can still join those groups. I think some of us have a lot more time these days on our hands. So, send an email to someone you don't know, or send a message to someone on LinkedIn or whatever social media platform that you are on, and just say, hi, if you're someone that's just coming in here, my name, and this is what I'm interested, can we chat? I'd love to hear about your career, or just, I want to hear what you do, right? Who doesn't love to talk about themselves, right? So I think that if you just try to use some of the platforms that you currently use, you'll probably notice that there are some people that you didn't notice in the past, and there are some people that, you've wanted to reach out to. And I think the great thing about, in this pandemic, there's really no great thing, but we still have, we're able to use Zoom, we're able to use, Teams, we're able to go on LinkedIn, we're able to join Facebook groups. And as you'll see, a lot of those industries, if you look at them, they're having like social cocktail hours. Right? And so that's something new. Where would you be on a Friday and be able to have 20 people that you didn't know and pull up your cocktail if that's what you want to do and just chat? So I would just say, just stay engaged. Whatever platform you use, it's just important to stay engaged. Don't go away because you think, that I'm home. There is ways to stay engaged. So I would just encourage them to stay engaged.
Yeah, absolutely. And people truly do love to give informational interviews and talk about themselves. So
Yeah.
That's a really good advice.
Yeah, absolutely.
You definitely touched upon this a little bit, and I think most of the folks who are in this field and who are involved with NUI are aware that energy and environment have a diversity issue. So I was wondering, what are some questions that employers should ask themselves, or that job seekers can ask during the job interview process to determine whether a potential employer is really committed to, supporting a diverse workplace?
Sure, yeah. So I think, on the employer side, I think they should be asking themselves, like, what do they do, internally to promote diverse and inclusive workforce, right? So whether that means what type of diversity training is happening inside, so that everyone is feeling comfortable with who they are, and people are able to speak up. And so when you go through different types of diversity training, internally, it helps your staff develop, groups where they're able to talk. You create safe environments. You go through some, programs that talk about unconscious biases, so that, everyone can kind of address what unconscious bias they might have. And so that it's, the whole organization is, on the same field, so that when you go out there and you're interviewing, who you want to bring into the organization, you've gone through those trainings, and then you're able to ask, questions, or you're able to understand the different people that are coming in. Because I think a lot of times, depending on, what company you work at, we all have something that we're biased towards. My favorite color is pink, so if I see something in the store that looks like it's pink, that's probably the first place that I'm going to go to. And if someone comes through your door that looks like you and you feel comfortable with, you're probably going to choose that person regardless of how they've interviewed, or their background. And so it's just important that before you really, can bring other people into an organization, that you've addressed the issues within your organization around diversity, and inclusion, because you want whoever you're bringing in, you want them to feel welcomed, and you want it to be a safe environment for them. So I would just say that just, make sure that if you're trying to reach out to women or minorities, that it really starts within the organization first, and it's really top down. That who's ever leading the organization is on board with that. And then you can invite people in, and you'll know how to, recruit them and get them in. So it's just really starting with, diversity training, I think, to get more, women and minorities in this field. I don't know if I answered your question. Yeah. I probably went the long way, but.
No, absolutely. We have a question from Erin P. She is wondering, could you talk about the ways that Mass CUC invests in clean and diverse workforce, and what are the keys for getting the most return on investment?
Sure. So that sounded like two questions. So let me just let me see if I can see. Can I see the questions? That will help. That will. Yes, I can. Okay, great. So you know, one thing that we do is, you know, for example, you know, I'll be honest with you. So I came into Mass CC in 2012. And, you know, I remember, you know, talking about the internship program. It was like, you know, this was our first time that we, you know, had, it was like this, I came to Mass CC the summer after our big internship program had opened. And, you know, everyone was so excited about it and happy about it. But when we looked at the numbers of who participated for that summer, it was like 99% males. And, you know, the other 1% was women, and I think we had no minorities. So I think from that point, what we do is, you know, to invest in the workforce is we go out to, you know, career fairs, and me included, I like to go out to, you know, career fairs, and I like to just, I think, you know, me being seen or making sure that I engage with women, talk to them, and really, you know, explain to them about the industry. So, you know, because when you think of diverse workforce, it's not just always like about male, female, and the race. For us at Mass CEC, it's about, especially with our internship program, a lot of times it's getting the companies to look at community college as a diversity. You know, you have a lot of companies that have been started from, you know, that from students that have graduated from the MITs and the Harvards. And diversity for us includes getting them to see, you know, a workforce that has graduated from the state colleges, that have graduated from community colleges. And so for us, it's just being like directly out there, getting ourselves out there, introducing who we are, going to career fairs, meeting students one-on-one. And then for, you know, our programs where we're trying to get youth involved, to make sure that we're working with the gateway cities in Massachusetts, and really, you know, emailing people directly, whatever organization they're in, to say, you know, these are the programs that we offer, you know, how can you help us? And really, partnership is really key for us. When we did the Successful Women in Clean Energy program a few years ago, we knew we couldn't do it on our own, so we had to go out and get a partner that had those relationships with the community to get, you know, who we wanted to be part of those programs. So I think that for us, it's just really being strategic on who we partner with, who we are letting, you know about our programs. We need to be, for us, it's statewide. So, you know, I can be all the way, you know, in Hampton County, or I can be in Plymouth County. And we have to be open to that, you know, driving to wherever it is, and really, you know, alerting people to what our programs are. So for us, it's all about like stakeholders and partners, and just really getting out there. You know, when we run Clean Energy Activity Day for students, you know, I'm there. I want students to see me. You know, it's not just I'm sending other people to go run the program. Like, I'm there. I want to meet these students. I want them to see that, you know, women can be part of this industry, and that, you know, as an African American woman, we can be part of this industry. So I think that, you know, we just try to be out there in people's faces in a good way, if that makes sense. And I think the return on investment for us is, you know, when I see someone out there that's been hired, that's gone through our programs, and I think that, you know, that's the return on investment, knowing that that person is still working and has stayed. And I know that Kate, you can't see her, but I know she would have some testimony to our Successful Women in Clean Energy program. So yeah, so you know, I think that's how we get, just seeing people, you know, in these programs, and having employers hire our interns. It's an amazing to have a thank you card from a student saying, I got a job. That's really the return on investment. And I'm not sure if, you know, it said that Kate wanted to, I don't know if Kate wanted to answer with me on that, but I did see an answer live from her. But so that's how we do it.
Yeah, and I don't know if you know this, Tamika, but I'm actually an alum of the intern program. My first big kid job was a Mass internship, and I am not sure that I'd be in the energy field if it weren't for that. So I can definitely second that return on investment also, because I don't know if I would be still an energy planner. You know, how long has it been since I graduated? 6 years down the line now, if I hadn't had that internship. So
yes,
definitely.
So you are a true testimony to our program, Sarah.
Yeah, I'm very grateful. So our next question is from NUI's very own Julie Lieberman, who wants to know, what do you believe are the greatest obstacles to achieving racial diversity in the energy and environmental fields? And the second part of that is, if there was one thing you could change to improve diversity in the sector, what would it be?
Wow. Julie, you are like, these questions are like, whoa, these are like hot fire questions. I thought this was going to be easy, like, you know, what's your favorite color or something? No, I'm just kidding. So I think, you know, the biggest obstacles, you know, to achieving racial diversity in these fields is that, you know, if you look at, okay, we're a field that is 30% women, 70% males, right? And when you look at who are the CEOs in these companies, again, I just mentioned a few minutes ago, you know, from the MITs, you know, from the Harvards, from the Northeasterns, that a lot of the founders of some of our companies. So if you look at, you know, who is in charge of these companies, I think sometimes that's, you know, our biggest obstacle, because again, a lot of times you hire and you know, you're comfortable with people that look like you, right? And so if you have not gone through, you know, a training how to recruit, you know, diverse individuals, then, or no one has been able to call you out on some of your unconscious biases, then that's the greatest obstacle. Because if you think that, you know, your company is profitable and, you know, the clean energy field is profitable, and you don't see anything wrong, or you don't think that, you know, your business needs to, you know, engage with other stakeholders or people that, you know, don't look like you, it really is a business decision. I mean, so if you don't know the statistics out there that having more diverse populations on your staff increases, you know, the bottom line, which is profit, if you don't know these things and you think you're just doing fine, and again, we're in a male dominated field, and they, you know, a lot of times want to see males that look like them, or, you know, they're uncomfortable with having, you know, maybe a Black woman sit next to them, just to be real. So I think sometimes it's just that we as individuals haven't dealt with our own unconscious bias yet. And then, you know, depending on who we hire, whether it's in the HR, you know, it's not looked at, or it's not, you know, talked about. So everything is just kind of swept underneath the rug. And if no one's questioning us or asking us, then, you know, why deal with it? So I think that it's just, the obstacle is we have so many women, I mean, so many males in this field. And, you know, it just takes a lot of education. It takes a lot of education to understand why it's better to work with, you know, to have a diverse staff, bottom line profit, and just, you can work with, when you have that diversity, it's just, there's so many opinions, there's so many more ideas generated than just, you know, your own idea. And really getting the education component through that I think that's the toughest part, because I can talk about it all day, but until you see the results of it and what it can bring to you, then really, you know, I'm not sure, you know, how many people are often caring about it. So the other question was, if there was one thing you could change to improve diversity in the sector, you know, what would it be? I think just, you know, a way that more, you know, whether it's women or, you know, diverse populations would be allowed to come in and see, you know, what we do, right? So I think a lot of times we're not, you know, we don't allow, a lot of times, whether it's, you know, a child or a student or whoever it is, to come see us. A lot of times we're not open. I think we're open if it's an event, but I think that we need to do it as an individual, just more, you know, doing that on our own, right? just have more individual people reach out and be mentors, because I think that would really help change the diversity. If we could each mentor one woman, or whoever it is, I think that would help. Because at events, you can invite a group to to the table, but what you do after they're at that table is what we need to do to help improve diversity in the sector.
Yeah, definitely. So the next question is also from one of NUI's own. Carter Wall wants to know, what are some best practices for employers seeking to recruit diverse job candidates?
Yeah, I mean, I think joining some organizations, that are whatever you're trying to attract. So, just whatever organization it is, to making sure that they're attending networking events, whether the Association of Blacks in Energy, they have events. I would encourage employers to attend those, or whether it's the Latinos in STEM, to attend those type of events, or like NUI events, or whatever it is that you're looking for, seeking. I think it's important, again, that whoever it is, they go out and find those who are, if you're looking for a diverse candidate, where are they? What groups are they part of? And we talked a little bit earlier about, how do you engage? But if you looked on LinkedIn, you can find the different groups that, that maybe a diverse candidate might belong to, and join, and be, open to joining that. Maybe, you don't look like what it says in the title of an organization, but, they're going to be just as welcoming. And I think that employers just need to go, find and see. If you're looking for, an African, I'm always going to use myself as an example, what groups am I part of? Find those groups and, post jobs in there, or introduce yourself if you know of anybody. So I think it's just going to find the group that whoever you're looking for, go to see where those people are, where they're hanging out. And and then you can target to where you would like to hire. And of course, I always say, it's not just recruiting, it's hiring. So whatever you can do, whoever is doing the hiring, whatever resources you have to put those HR people that are in HR through like diversity training or unconscious bias training, that helps a lot, because then that helps kind of shape the organization as, bringing people in. And then, as far as the questions that you're asking people during an interview, and just ways of how, not just recruiting, but really you want to be able to hire and then retain them. So I think those are just a few tips.
Yeah, thank you. This one is from Caitlin Odom. She wants to know, have your efforts changed the statistics on the diversity of who's using your programs?
Yes, that's something that I love to brag about. As I said, when I came in 2012, like I said, that first run of interns, it was about, I think we did about 80 interns that summer. And now we do, over 550 interns per year. And just on our summer numbers for this summer, we had 42% women and minorities participating in our internship program for summer 2020, for this summer, which is amazing. It's not, I would love for it to be 50-50 or, over the 50 level for women and minorities. But compared to the industry, the internship program has, 42% women and minorities this summer. And so, and I truly believe that it's because of my staff that has gone out to the career fairs and, put themselves out there and, shook hands with, women, or shook hands with minorities, and just really sat down with them and said, like, this is the internship program for you. We want you. And so, yeah. And then, we've had the Successful Women in Clean Energy program a couple of years ago, and that program was focused on women and minorities. Again, some of these ladies are still working in the field, and it's just amazing to see them, that they're still there, So yes, we strive for that at Mass EC. We want our programs to be all inclusive. We want them to be, talk about, equitable, I check wages. I check to see how much the women are making, in the internships, because we subsidize for a certain amount, but companies are allowed to pay more. So I do check for those wages and look at data all the time. That's what keeps me up at night, So yes, we do. I think from when I first started, 8 years ago, the statistics have definitely changed of who we are, touching, especially with Clean Energy Day, when you go to, one of the gateway cities or the urban cities, and you just see all these, these children that really would have never gotten the experience to even touch a wind turbine for the day. When you bring that material with you, it's amazing. And their questions that they ask when they have the guest speakers. So yeah, the efforts have definitely helped increase our, diversity networks a lot.
Yeah, incredible. So this next one is from Weezy Nwara. Hi, Weezy. First, thank you, Tamika, for kicking off our virtual Ask Me Anything series. You're an incredible ambassador for NUI as a former NUI Rising Star awardee. What advice do you have for other potential rising stars out there to stand out, distinguish yourself, and advance in a male-dominated industry?
Yeah, thank you, Macy. Thank you for the question. Thank you so much. So I would just really say, be you. If I know we always say that, but I don't think, Weezy asked like how, to distinguish, yourself. I don't think, I was set out trying to distinguish myself. I think that I just wanted to make a change, right? I knew when I came in this industry what it looked like. And I think I just wanted to make a change. And I think, knowing that this was my passion, I think that's what maybe, helps me just like move through it. So, a lot of times when I'm creating these programs or I'm thinking, okay, what's going to be the next request or proposal that I'm writing? It's because it's my passion. And really, if what you're working in is not your passion, then I don't think you will become a rising star. And I don't mean it just for me. I'm just saying whatever industry you're in, it really has to be something that you love to do. And it has to be your passion, because that's what's going to really, maybe set you apart or want to go that extra mile. For me, I love developing training programs, and it's been a passion of mine for a very long time. So I just think be you. And I always say, and I've said this before if anyone's heard me speak, but like really dream big for whatever you're doing, whatever industry you're in, whatever sector you're in, like dream big. And usually whatever you're dreaming about, it's not big enough, right? So, I think Sarah heard me say this before, we were at URI, right? When we were at URI.
I scribbled it right down. I took a note.
Right? I just say, dream big, because that's what really makes you, strive for more and kind of separates, because you don't wait for someone to necessarily tell you what to do or who you should be. You can only define you. And knowing that you are dreaming big and setting goals and seeing where you want to go, that really is how you distinguish yourself, because you're not waiting for someone to tell you when to kind of make that next move or what to do. You have it written out, you have your goals written out, and you can see it. So I would say just always dream big. Sometimes, at Mass CC, we might not always have the budget, but I'm always dreaming bigger than that budget, hoping that one day, whatever I want, whatever bigger than Mass CEC's budget, that maybe it will just happen, So I think it's just important to have your goals in line of what you're trying to do. And I mean like work goals, like what your company is trying to do for you, and, work from there. So for me, it's just, depending on the season of budgets, I'm always like dreaming big for my programs. Like I just want them to be like huge. I wish I had $1 billion to put, in front of them. I can't, but I'm always going to dream like they are. And that helps, I think, you stand out from what you're doing, because you're envisioning of where you see something going instead of waiting for someone to tell you when to do it.
Yeah, I remember at the NUI on campus, I heard you talk about dreaming big for the first time. I loved that. And I also love you talking about passion. I coach Girls on the Run, and the mantra that I say to all my little 8-year-olds is always passion makes you powerful. And that resonates with little girls, and that resonates with the people that I work with. And I think that that is such an important thing to remember no matter what you're doing, that it really is the passion that drives you.
Yes.
So this next question that we have is from an anonymous asker, and they want to know, what has most influenced your career trajectory? And what have you learned that has been the most impactful in advancing your career and leading to new opportunities in the clean energy sector?
Wow. I mean, you amazing ladies just asking amazing questions, and I appreciate that from this anonymous attendee. You know, I think, honestly, I think just the openness of always wanting to do something that maybe I might not have the necessary skills to do, or, you know, just saying yes to it. You know, how I got here is really weird, not weird, but back in, you know, the ARA days, the American Reinvestment Recovery Act, I was, you know, working in general workforce, and you know, the money came out for ARA, and the states were able to write, you know, for funding around, you know, clean energy, right? And so I remember at the time, you know, working with Commonwealth Corporation, and honestly, I didn't know much about clean energy, like the sector. And it was like, okay, so what do you think about this program or these programs? And I really had to go research, like, what is the clean energy sector, to be honest with you? And just, you know, kind of researching and then understanding it, and then kind of getting involved with it is really how I got to Mass CEC, to be honest with you. So I think just in leading and advancing your own career, don't say no. You know, if there's something that you don't know about, or you're unsure of, or you're like, that should mean you should do it more, because that will open the new opportunities for you when you're learning more, and just, you know, doing things that you feel uncomfortable with. I think that, you know, sometimes when we have great jobs, and we're stable, and we, you know, we know that necessarily we're not looking to make that next step, or, you know, whatever that leap is. But when you feel uncomfortable about something regarding your career, like, that's when it's really time to make the leap, honestly, because you don't want to feel comfortable, you know, for your whole life. And I just think that sometimes, you know, being uncomfortable in what you're doing and what you're learning, as far as, you know, the work environment of learning new topics and learning new skills, that's what really kind of just makes your career kind of just take off and go, because you're able to keep on adding, you're learning every day. You're saying to yourself, nope, I'm not going to stop learning. I want to learn more. So I think just being sometimes, you know, uncomfortable and nervous, you know, about whatever you're trying to get into, I think that's normal, and that, you know, you should, that is what has probably helped and influenced my career, is just not being comfortable and worried about what someone else might say. So I can see the other question is, what have you learned that has been most impactful in advancing your career? Just that, always trying to build the next stackable credential for me. You know, even though academically, I never necessarily want to go back and be in that classroom where someone has to grade me. But I love, you know, just learning new stackable credentials. So, you know, whether it's, you know, I'm trying to be this great video editor these days, because I want to have a YouTube channel around employment and networking. And so searching for that course on video editing, or just watching YouTube to teach me how to do it, right? So that I can add this credential of video editing. So I would just say, just wanting to, I'm always hungry to learn more. And I think that has been the, you know, the most impactful of advancing my own career.
Yeah, well, we'll definitely all be looking out for your YouTube channel. And
it's up. It's actually up. It's not that good, but it's up if anybody wants to follow. But I do have. I do. It's called.
So that's how we know I'm networking.
Yeah, that's my next skill. So go ahead. Sorry.
Oh yeah, we've got another anonymous question here. When conducting an interview, what characteristics do you look for in a potential hire?
Sure. I think, it really depends on the position that you're interviewing for, but I just think, having that personality where, they can, I like someone that's kind of like, peppy for me, and just able to want to, be a team player, right? Because sometimes, I know someone has the credential and I know they have the skill, but how is their attitude, right? How is their attitude going to be when they come in the morning? How are they going to have their smile on their face? Again, am I going to see that passion in them, or are they just going to come in every day? And sometimes you can't really gauge that when you're, interviewing a potential hire. But one question that I ask, no matter who I'm interviewing, whether it's a fellow, an intern, is, and this really kind of shows like their kind of characteristic per se. And so now you all can go out and ask, as you're doing interviews and hiring, you all can go out and use this question. But I always ask them, like, what's a misconception that your friends might have of you or your boss might have of you? Because I think when you ask someone that, it allows them to pause a little bit, like, who do you think you are asking me this question? What's a misconception of me? But it really allows you to see, because they're going to tell you what people think of them, and then they're going to tell you of who they are. And usually when someone, you can kind of gauge in the middle, right? So having them tell you what others think of them, and then, the flip side of, how they, counteract to that, I think is the characteristic that you'll see will come out in them and tell you. So for me, it's just I'm always looking for someone that's a team player and, can pitch in and not think that if I'm asking that, whoever the person is, if I'm asking them, oh my gosh, can you go answer the phone? They're like, oh, this is beneath me. Doesn't she know I have a master's degree? No, I'm just asking you to answer the phone because there's 50 other lines ringing, trying to get about the internship program. So it's really, for me, just, we all got to be team players in here.
Yeah, definitely. Let's see, we have a question from Daisy Lynn Blanco, who wants to know, do you have any suggestions for women wishing to make the switch to clean energy as a mid-career transfer from oil and gas?
Yeah, of course. I mean, I think, whatever position someone is in, there's always that transferable skills. And, whether it's managing budgets, I mean, depending on the position that this person is doing, let's just say, I mean, no matter where you go, budgets are going to be a budget. Again, depending on the skills that, is in that position, I think there's a lot of transferable skills. And it's just important that if you are, from oil and gas trying to get into clean energy, that you're really looking at, depending on, first of all, you should be networking, right? So that you're not just depending fully on your resume. But if you are, relying fully on your resume, that you are changing some of those wordsmithing around so that things, can look applicable to clean energy, depending on what position that you're applying for. So I think that depending on, if you're coming from the oil and gas industry, it's important to join NUI. If you're a woman, it looks like Stacy is, if from the name, join NUI or join a clean energy industry, get out there, network, and, let people know who you are. Go on LinkedIn, look for people that are in the industry, introduce yourself, and really let them know who you are. And I'm glad you asked this question, because as you're looking to switch or, transfer, it's important that you are ready to talk about yourself, right? So if you are trying to network and you're trying to meet people, it's important that you have, I don't want to say rehearsed, but practice a little of, yourself and how you can transfer and the knowledge that you have in your industry and what you can bring to the clean energy, sector. So, just be ready to talk about yourself and network. I cannot say that enough.
All right, I'm actually really glad that you talked a little bit about resume wordsmithing because I had a question that I really wanted to ask.
Sure.
Which is, in preparing for this event, I noticed that when you were at Northeastern, you worked with the Greek life community and you actually implemented Greek Week there, which is awesome.
Oh, I didn't implement Greek Week there. I hope I didn't say that. No, Greek Week was before me, but I worked on it, yes.
Okay, awesome. Well, as a former sorority girl myself, I know really early in my career, I would put all of my sorority leadership positions and events that I had helped plan on my resume because they were some of the only examples that I had at that point of leadership or project coordination or the ability to manage a budget. So I'm not sure if that was really advisable, but it got me where I am. So I wondered what your thoughts are on resume wordsmithing, and when you're networking or interviewing, how would you suggest that women market experiences or skills that might not traditionally fit on a resume?
Yeah, so I think that it's okay to, whatever your experience is, that's your experience. It comes down to that's your truth, right? And so to be honest with you, I had some of that when I was, younger, in my younger days, not really having a lot of experience. I was president of a programming board, and I sure did have on my resume the whole budget of the board on there, which was little like $60,000, but I was proud of it, right? And I could show that I could lead an organization, I could manage a budget, I could plan events, and isn't that like true leadership? And that's what I believe a company would want when they're hiring, or who's ever hiring, that it's all about leadership, and the things you do, is not always things that you've been paid for, right? And
right.
I mentioned this a little bit in my book, A Brown Girl's Guide to Networking, to Employment and Networking, because let's say if you're trying to transfer to an industry, and you don't have experience in that industry, but you joined an organization that allowed you to do their website, that allowed you to do press for them, but you've never had that experience. Volunteer experience is experience, and I get this from a lot of moms too that say like, oh my gosh, Tamika, like I've been out of the workforce for 5 years, like who's going to take me? And I can say, well, you can just, leave that gap off your resume if you want, and then talk about it when you get to the interview, or you can put personal life manager on it, because that's creative, or whoever it is, and list out what you did. Plan 5 schedules if you have 5 kids, manage the budget. And I think that it sounds silly, but we know something like being a mom is a real job, and it can be listed out. I mean, you can get creative, and that's how where we come into play, especially in newbie members. When you see that on someone's resume, don't pass that off. Like that's real experience. So, whatever anyone has done, Sarah, yes, put that on your resume. That is your truth. That is time and effort and tears and, sweat that you put into what you are doing. So yes, all that should go on there. Whatever you have planned, whatever budget you have managed, even if it's $1,000, you have managed $1,000, and show if you've made a profit on it, so yeah, you can wordsmith, and everything you have done in your life is transferable. It is transferable, and give yourself credit for, the skills that you have learned, right? And I think that if we were instilled a little bit earlier on this, on knowing what a credential is and a skill, we would be able to talk a lot about this, while we're in high school, right? We would be able to, if especially, think about it, if your parents, or you're a current mom now, or you have children or nieces, and you've put them, say they started dancing at 6 years old, until they're 16, man, that's their credential. They've had 10 years in that, but we don't educate people on that, right? That's your skill of 10 years. So everything, yes, that should go on. Early entry level, things like that should definitely go on your resume.
All right, great. I'm going to ask a fun one now.
Okay.
If you could have lunch with anyone, living or dead, who would it be?
Okay, tell me again. You cut out for a second. What was it?
If you could have lunch with anyone, living or dead, who would it be?
Oh, wow. So I guess just current right now, who I, would love to meet, someone that's alive. I would love to have lunch with Michelle Obama. I'm like in love with her and, follow her a lot. So I would ask Mrs. Obama if she would sit and have lunch with me. And if her husband came, that would be great too,
Yeah, I recently listened to her on Oprah's podcast, and she is so amazing. She seems like someone who would not be overwhelming to have lunch with. And I'm like, no, but she would. She's Michelle Obama. It could be so overwhelming.
Yeah, no, it definitely would. So that would be my person.
Amazing. So I don't think we have any more questions in the Q&A box. So do you have any final remarks or anything that you really want to talk about that we didn't touch on before we sort of wrap up?
Yeah, I just, I don't know if I have any words of wisdom, but I would just say, everyone that's on that, I applaud you for and all your work that you're doing. And, we had the question earlier of how, you can distinguish yourself. But I think that, what you all are your own experts in your subject matters. And I think that in this industry, the women that I meet are just incredible. So I would just say, keep on doing what you are doing. And, if you're having a discouraging day or you don't feel like, you're being promoted fast enough or you're moving through, just keep going, and keep shining and keep doing what you're doing. Someone will notice, and this is a great industry to be in. So I would just say, keep going, stay in. Thank you for, everything that everyone does, for this industry. And thanks for, tuning in for the last 50 minutes of hearing me talk. So thank you so much.
Yeah, no, thank you so much for letting us pick your brain and for sharing your time and your experience with all of us. And thank you to everyone who jumped on. And I also want to give another huge thank you to our annual event sponsors, Eversource, First Light, and Robinson and Cole. And before we wrap up, I wanted to remind you all that NUI's Professional Development Lunch and Learn series will kick off on Tuesday, May 26th. From noon to 1, where Catherine McLean from Dillon Green will be talking about how to be your own recruiter. So definitely check that out. And then I hope you all really enjoyed this dialogue and that you'll join us on June 10th for our next Ask Me Anything from 4 to 5, where we'll talk to Cheryl LaFleur, former FERC commissioner and recipient of the 2019 Special NUI Board Recognition Award. So that is going to be a really, really fantastic event, and I hope that you'll all tune in. All right, Tamika, thank you again.
Yes, thank you so much.
All right, and have a good evening, everyone.
You too.